Not technically cheating. My partner and I have been dating for almost 3 years. I've known him since we were 12. We watched each other grow up. I've always had a crush on him, and throughout these 12 years we were always flirting on and off. I watched him cycle through girlfriends and wanted to wait until we were both older and have grown out of childish games to start a real relationship with him. We got together at 21, and we're both 24F and 25M now. We had a bit of issues, mostly around struggling to communicate without the other person feeling over-criticized. It often resulted in yelling and stonewalling on both sides, or struggling to keep up with housework and keeping the house tidy. We tried to work through it. I thought we were just on a rough patch, but the last few weeks have went something like this. July 2nd. I'm at work, and he texts me asking me if I'm happy. I asked him what was wrong, and he admitted he hadn't been happy in a while. I agreed and told him I felt kind of the same way, but I had a lot of love for him. He asked for some space and time alone. I said okay. July 3rd. Barely any texts or communicating. He messaged some girl on Instagram who I always thought he was a bit flirty with, asking her when she was going to take him on a motorcycle ride. Found this a week later. July 4th. Still barely any texts or communication from him. I'm losing my mind. I'm annoyed. I said to him over text, if this is how it was going to be, then we should just part ways and break up. He's super unclear, just saying okay. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. July 5th. I asked him to talk to me in person around midday. He said to wait until tomorrow, that it's only been a couple of days. This same night he had fed somebody off of Tinder. I saw the deleted texts a week after, July 14th, and they were sexting, and he slept over. I don't know how many times they slept together. July 6th. He finally meets up with me. He says he thinks he does better when he is alone, ambition-wise, with discipline, etc. I try my hardest to understand. I want an amicable breakup because I love him, and I've known him since we were kids. I didn't want to lose him in my life completely. He says the same. He kept asking us to stay friends. We both go home. I take a nap, and when I woke up, I just woke up with a heavy feeling and I couldn't stand the thought of parting. I felt like if we did, I could never have him stay in my life. I was too in love with him. So I call him to tell him that, and he tells me to come over. We talk some more, and we decide to try and work it out. We slept together 2 or 3 days after he fed someone else. Skip to July 14th. We've spent the whole week together back in the house. He wasn't feeling good and was a bit sick. I felt an urge to go through his phone. I know. Then I see the texts. I ask him who this person was, and he shot up out of bed and started screaming at me. We were technically broken up because I texted him that and was losing my mind over the lack of communication. But I can't help but be annoyed that he refused to see me and talk to me that night, making it seem like I was being impatient for wanting to see him, when in reality, he had plans to FK a stranger and sleep over their home. I feel so betrayed. He was my best friend, and I just can't help but feel so betrayed by someone I've known for half my life. He says he's sorry. That's all he's been saying. That he didn't cheat, because we were broken up, barely. But he slept with me 2 days after, didn't get tested. He had multiple chances to tell me about it, but he never did. My dilemma. I'm heartbroken. I've always had a thing for him, and when we finally got together it felt like a great time. We have lots of amazing memories together of traveling and camping. I still love him, and I want to forgive him and understand. But the other part of me is disgusted. He lied to me over and over again. I asked him if he had slept with anyone else while we were away. He said no. He slept with me knowing he hadn't gotten tested yet. He kept telling me he was trying to find the right time to tell me, but I know there's never a right time. He still has some of my stuff in his home. I know it will be a long drag to try and get them back, because that's just how he is. Now to the next story, story 2. I deleted my best friend number. Today, I deleted the conversation with my ex-best friend and her contact from my phone, not out of spite, but to avoid the temptation of writing to her again. From the day I met her, I felt an incredible connection, a soulmate, the person I could trust the most. She is the complete opposite of me, extroverted and talkative, while I am introverted and love to listen. So we were, or at least I thought, perfect for each other. I believed we had a solid friendship. Our friendship involved many types of conversations: deep, interesting, stupid, silly, frustrating, and more. Honestly, as I mentioned, I don't talk much, so the conversations were basically 80% her talking and 20% me talking, which was perfect because our personalities matched that. But since she was the one who talked the most, she told me many things: heartbreaks, loves, work problems. Sometimes she repeated things over and over again, and each time, I responded as if it were the first time. Mistakes, frustrations, everything. This led me to believe that I also had the right to talk about my issues and be reciprocated in the same way. I'm going through a very dark period in my life. I've always been known to see the glass half full, but lately, I'm in a downward spiral, barely managing to get by. Last week, she told me she wanted to come to my house. I said yes and all, but I work as a hotel receptionist in a hotel that accommodates around 600 people. There's little staff, many problems, angry people, insults. Unfortunately, that day the pressure and stress were so intense that tears started streaming down my face. The level of stress, sadness, frustration, fatigue, and annoyance overwhelmed me. So I burst into a loud cry from the moment I left work until I got home. I texted her, saying I wouldn't be able to receive her that day because I had a terrible day and didn't have the energy to clean my house before she came or to entertain her. I just wanted to lie down and calmly get through the nervous state I was in. I told her I had a horrible day and ended up crying, to which she responded, "Okay." I admit that lately, I've been talking about how frustrated I am at work, but not excessively, nothing that she hasn't talked about regarding her own issues. From that moment, she didn't speak to me again. The next day, I texted her, saying I found her behavior very upsetting because I tried calling her multiple times to talk, and she kept hanging up on me. After a few days, I asked if she would remain angry forever, and she just replied that she wasn't angry. I said okay. Today, I texted her again, saying I missed her and didn't understand why she changed her attitude towards me. I told her I would go to her house today if she allowed it and that I couldn't live without her, obviously an exaggeration, but it was a way of saying I missed her. She replied with a hello. I told her our friendship was worth it, which is why I was insisting so much. She replied that she wasn't mad. I said if she didn't want to talk to me anymore, I understood, but I wouldn't keep insisting. She said, "We'll talk later." I didn't vent to her about anything she hadn't vented to me about before, and it wasn't a big deal. Nonetheless, she completely changed towards me, and I feel that after everything we've been through, her treatment is disrespectful to me as a person. So, I don't want to write to her anymore and did what the title says. Now to the next story, Story 3. Nurse at the hospital made me cry. Some time ago, I was desperate and signed up for a job that required a 2-hour commute by public transport and walking. A while after starting, the commute took a toll on me and I started to fall sick. I was sick for a month with on-off fever and sore throat. It was impossible to sleep lying down as I'd be unable to breathe well. One morning, I woke up with my upper face severely and painfully swollen and my fever dangerously high, so I went to A&E, where they put a camera up my nose to check for pus in the sinus cavity and recommended me to be hospitalized immediately due to other issues with my liver. They were concerned as I am too young and lead a healthy lifestyle for any liver issues. Overall, I was devastated as after being sick for so long, all I wanted was medicine and to go home and sleep. Plus, I was concerned I'd lose my new job due to absence. I was also in the midst of applying for a better job, and should they need me to start immediately, I was concerned they'd pass me over for a ready-to-go candidate. For a week, I had blood drawn from me every day to test for everything under the sun. They even made me collect my pee for a day in a petrol-can-looking thing. I was so weak. I had severe tonsillitis, which made me cough all night and be unable to swallow much. I was told that if I had come to A&E a little later, my tonsils would have closed off my windpipe. Every day, I would be poked and prodded. It's also a teaching hospital, so many student doctors are present to observe. I am happy to be of educational use, but it does come with some cons for me, as they tried to figure out my liver issues. Throughout this, my mother was the least supportive person. She kept boasting about how she has never been admitted to hospital, except to give birth to me. I was hospitalized several times in my childhood due to quite serious pneumonia. I had deliberately gone to a subsidized government hospital to keep costs low, but she kept complaining how this will cost us a lot of money. She kept saying many other critical things about me, while I was so sick and frail from being ill and having blood drawn daily. One night, while freezing in the cold hospital shared ward, I was silently crying to myself out of sheer defeat. The nurse on duty came to give me my intravenous antibiotics. At this point, I had the 4 catheter inserted for several days already, so it was starting to feel really sore. When you inject 4 medication too quickly, it can be really painful, like a throbbing pain zapping up your vein. I have good pain tolerance, but when I was a child, a nurse who was in a rush had done a poor job administering 4 meds to me, and it gave me some trauma/anxiety. The nurse saw me crying but didn't say much besides kindly informing me it's time for medication. I asked her to please be gentle, and she said okay. Unfortunately, because my vein was already so sore, her most gentle way of injecting was still so painful that I started crying again. I was raised by a single mother who was very hard on me, and I taught myself to bottle up weakness. But this time, because the nurse seemed so gentle, I feebly cried out through my tears, "Cack, sack it. Sister, it hurts," feeling so pathetic. She reacted by gently caressing the vein on my hand and soothing me, telling me not to cry and that it will be over soon. She also was very patient and took a long time to inject all of it, making sure I had breaks in between to recover from the pain a little. After having gone through so much, I allowed myself to be vulnerable and sob more quietly, grateful for her. It was a really small moment, but I truly felt so defeated and alone that her kindness and gentle demeanor made me feel cared about for once throughout my ordeal. I still think about it fondly today when I am feeling low. Thank you to all healthcare workers, especially nurses who truly see patients at their lowest sometimes. Next story, Story 4. My BF of 16 years cheated on me for years, left me for the other girl, and he now sounds serious. This is gonna be long since I want to vent out. I, 30F, was in a long-term relationship with my high school sweetheart BF, 32M, for almost 16 years. I found out a month ago that he's been having an affair with his coworker, 28F, 4 years already. Our 15 years went smoothly. We had mad chemistry, the connection, and conversations weren't forced. I love him. He loves me. He's a great guy, supportive, caring, generous, sweet, all I could ever ask for. Everyone supports our relationship, including his friends, my friends, his family, and my family. Everybody roots for us. Everything's fine. Not until mid-2023, where I would notice him being late with our dates and hangouts. I told him about it. He said he will fix it, but he never did. It was the main reason why we argue for months. When our 15th anniversary came, I got disappointed in him for not putting enough effort and time. He got home around 10 p.m. and bought no gift for me, while I waited for him all day and has my gift prepared for weeks already. He usually makes effort for our anniversary, but this time it was like just a spawny dinner. I am grateful, but I wish there was more time for us to spend time together. Fast forward 2024, He told me he's going on a business trip in a hotel beach resort with his coworkers for 4 days. He updates me with what they did, show me some pictures, and even video chatted with me one night. A week after he came home from the trip, a man messaged me and told me he's the ex-BF of his coworker. He sent me a video that he found through another one of their coworker who's with them during the trip. He revealed that the trip wasn't really a business trip, it was just a leisure trip organized by their workmates. In the videos, it is very apparent that my BF and this girl has something going on between them. They weren't seen hugging nor kissing nor holding hands, but the way they are always beside each other in photos and during lunches/dinners made me suspect there's something more. I confronted my BF and he denied that there's something going on between them and that they're just friends, said they're just closer in age and was hired almost the same time before. I shrugged it out and chose to believe him since I got no other evidence against them. I contacted the girl to ask for clarifications, but I got no replies. Her ex also contacted her aunt to ask, also no replies. She and her ex broke up just 2 months, 2023, before the said trip, so her ex wanted to know if she broke up with him because of my BF. He said she broke up with him over a joke, which he thought was weird. She also admitted that during the time she's with her BF, now ex, that she's developed feelings for my BF. So I'm sure she's been cheating on her BF too. I'm not sure if her ex still doesn't know until now since they're still going low-key and not publicizing anything yet. After that incident, things turned worse. He's still coming home late, but still shows up every day. But I could still see some connection between them in her online posts. He wasn't seen in the photos, but I could feel like he's with her in them. Still, I lack evidence. I found nothing in his phone, no conversations with her, nothing. He then forbids me to post anything publicly with him. I have his photo publicly on my Facebook, but he said that's about it. He would get angry whenever I post something that would see even his shadow. Whenever I would see a connection, I would confront him and he would lie and give me excuses. There are times I would be convinced, since he's able to show me receipts he's telling the truth. And then 4 months after the video incident, the girl decided to contact me. She spilled everything. That they are in a no-label relationship, but they go out on dinner dates and trips. That she said she asked him to stop when she found out about me, but he didn't. She knows about me since the first time they worked together. He said we're not together anymore. And she said she will get some more evidences that we're still together, but he would ask her to give him time to break up with me. This happened all throughout 2022 to 2024, but they entered this no-label relationship since 2023. She found out multiple times, but never once she reached out to ask me or tell me or confirm it. She also said she's not waiting for him to be free from me, but she's the one who posts stuff and now reached out to finally reveal it. She would post subtle photos thanking someone unmentioned, would post with a little bit of his elbow just, I guess, to show me she's with him. My FB profile also contained photos of me and him, which made her ex found me and asked about me and my BF's relationship. She also said her family learned about me and my BF's relationship, then asked him to break up with me and fix it. She also said that my BF told her family that he thinks she's the one he'll gonna marry. She also said that my BF and her took out a loan to buy a pre-selling house. That made my heart sink because he sounded serious with her. Now I'm very lost, very heartbroken. It's been a month since and I still cry every day. My ex and I still talk, but just because we're trying to schedule a date to talk about it and have our closure. I don't know what to do. I hate them both so much.